Dexter Morgan is supposed to be one of the scariest characters on TV, which makes it kind of hilarious that in 2025 he probably wouldn't be hunted, he'd be trending. Because let's be real, if Dexter existed today, TikTok wouldn't see a serial killer, it would see a celebrity. Between edits, thirst traps, and people calling him misunderstood, this man would go viral in about 5 minutes. So today we're breaking down how the internet would turn Dexter Morgan into its next superstar, and why it's actually way more believable than it should be. Dexter was basically engineered to be loved by the audience. He's quiet, awkward in a way that feels intentional, and somehow always looks like he knows something everyone else doesn't. That combination alone would be enough for people on social media to go crazy, but the show takes it even further by making him genuinely charming in ways that sneak up on you. There's a reason so many edits already exist of Dexter staring off into space, walking through Miami at night, or delivering dry, sarcastic inner monologues that somehow sound poetic. And to be honest, those edits do be tough. They have the same energy as every viral, misunderstood main character montage, except in this case, the main character also happens to be a serial killer. And the show itself practically leans into this. The official synopsis literally describes him as, he's smart, he's good looking, and he's got a great sense of humor. He's Dexter Morgan, everyone's favorite serial killer. That line is wild when you really sit with it because it's not even subtle about what it's doing. It's telling you straight up that you're supposed to like him. Dexter can be funny without trying, awkward in a way that feels endearing, and surprisingly gentle when he wants to be. That softness makes his darker side feel less threatening, even though it absolutely should be. He talks calmly, he listens, he shows empathy, and suddenly you forget you're watching someone who does objectively horrifying things. Because that's the trick. It's not that Dexter isn't creepy, it's the way he presents himself wraps all of that in something almost comforting. Then you look at the people he attracts and it makes even more sense. You got Rita, who's kind, sweet, and emotionally warm. Lila, who is chaotic, intense, and magnetic in her own way. And then you start to realize that Dexter somehow pulls both ends of the spectrum, which honestly feels like proof of the concept. And let's not ignore how despite being pretty autistic in the way he sometimes talks, he still manages to riz them up unintentionally.
Maybe if I don't blink, my eyes will tear up.
Well, Dexter? I'm sorry,
Well, that just makes no sense. I mean, it's just bull.
If that man existed in the real world, there would absolutely be people thirsting over him. Not because they know what he does, but because of how he makes them feel when he's on screen. He feels like someone you want to understand, someone you want to fix, or hell, even someone you want to get close to despite literally being a mass murderer. And on the internet, that kind of energy doesn't just attract attention. It creates fan accounts, edits, comments, and entire communities built around a character that's way more dangerous than he ever looks. What really turbocharges all of this is how TikTok and short form platforms reward story over truth. The algorithm doesn't care if something is accurate, it cares if people watch, comment, and share. That means the most emotionally charged versions of someone always wins. If Dexter had a single clip where he looked vulnerable, thoughtful, or protective, it would get looped endlessly with sad music, soft lighting, and captions like, he's just misunderstood. Suddenly he's not a killer anymore, he's a tragic main character. And once that version of him exists, it spreads faster than any police report ever could. People would start defending him without even knowing why, because the edit made them feel something. That's how fandom replaces facts, and why characters like Dexter thrive online. I mean, like, come on, just look how much I've milked them on my channel.
No. He's got a point.
We've already seen it play out with characters like Joe Goldberg from You. Joe is openly obsessive, manipulative, and dangerous, yet huge parts of the internet still treat him like a tragic heartthrob instead of what he actually is. Even at the end of the series, after everything he's done is fully exposed, we literally see him receiving letters from women who are in love with him, cheering him on, and wanting to get closer to him despite all the crimes he's committed. Now here's where it gets scary. Joe doesn't even have a code. He kills out of obsession, jealousy, and control. Yet he still gets fan edits, stan accounts, and people defending him online.
What the f is that?
So if someone like Joe can be romanticized this hard, just imagine what would happen to Dexter. A guy who's calm, handsome, and only targets the worst people on earth wouldn't just be excused, he'd be adored.
A homo.
And the wildest part is how fast it all happens. It doesn't take years for the internet to build a cult around someone like this, it takes literal hours. One viral clip, one moody edit, one comment section snowballing out of control, and suddenly a person stops being real and starts being a character. People aren't talking about what they did anymore, they're talking about how they look, how they speak, and how aesthetic their story feels. That's how the narrative shifts, and once it does, it's almost impossible to pull it back into reality. What makes all of this even more uncomfortable is how blurred the line between entertainment and reality has become. People don't just watch stories anymore, they live inside them. True crime, edits, reaction videos, and comment debates turn real people into characters in an ongoing show. Once that happens, the stakes feel lower, even when they shouldn't. It becomes easier to argue, defend, and romanticize because everything feels like content. That emotional distance is what lets someone's reputation get rebuilt online faster than it ever could in the real world. Which is exactly why the whole idea stops being funny and starts getting unsettling when you look at how the internet treats real people. We've already seen it happen in real life with figures like Luigi Mangione. Regardless of what someone did or was accused of, huge parts of social media zeroed in on how he looked, how he carried himself, and how easily a narrative could be built around him. Suddenly, the conversation wasn't about accountability anymore. It was about aesthetics, vibes, and whether or not people thought he was attractive. You had edits, fan posts, and comments arguing that he was misunderstood or even morally justified. Not because of facts, but because the internet decided he fit a certain archetype.
See, now that's some bullshit.
That exact pattern is what would swallow Dexter whole if he existed today. Because Dexter doesn't just look like a guy who could go viral, he's literally written to be one. He's calm, he's soft-spoken, he's conventionally attractive, and he carries himself like someone who's always quietly in control.
This is a homosexual.
If someone like Joe Goldberg can get fan mail and love letters even after everything he's done, Dexter would get something even more intense. He doesn't just come with looks and mystery, he comes with a narrative that feels almost tailor-made for the internet. "He only kills bad people" is the kind of slogan that would explode online. Hell, it's what I say when I try to get someone I know to watch the show, that on the surface appears grotesque. People would turn it into hashtags, bios, and profile pictures. Instead of being treated like a criminal, he'd be reframed as some kind of dark anti-hero, and that would change everything about how the system treats him. If Dexter were ever caught, the support alone would matter. Public sympathy shapes trials, sentences, and how the media tells a story. With enough online backing, he wouldn't be facing the harshest possible punishment. He'd be facing a court of public opinion that already decided he was different. And when he got out, his life wouldn't be over. He wouldn't be scrambling for a minimum wage job with a criminal record. He'd be booked on interviews, flooded with donations, offered book deals, maybe even pitched a show about his own life. In the weirdest way possible, Dexter wouldn't be ruined by being exposed, he'd be elevated by it. And that's the part that lingers. In a world driven by algorithms, charm, and how someone looks on a screen, morality starts to feel negotiable. One person gets erased, another gets celebrated, all because of presentation. Dexter Morgan wouldn't survive 2025 as a hidden monster, he'd survive it as a celebrity, which might honestly be the most disturbing ending of them all. If you want to dive even deeper into these topics with exclusive videos, guaranteed replies, and your name featured at the end of every upload, you can become a channel member for just $2.99. It helps out a ton and keeps this content going. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you want to keep the conversation going, hop into the Discord where we talk about all your favorite shows and media. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.